Well, winter is certainly here, and the snow is starting to pile up on our cars and on the sidewalks, which always raises that question. What are we supposed and not supposed to do with all that snow? Well, here to give us the legal perspective on all this and the snow removal situation is attorney Tom Sinas of the Sinas Drainage Law Firm. Thanks so much for being with us. I tell you what, it really is one of those questions, and especially when the snow keeps falling, you just went out and shoveled, like, what do you do?
It is. And, hopefully most of our decisions here come from some basic common sense, but hopefully too, we have some common sense principles that are incorporated into our law. So maybe one of the first questions is, well, is there really law about this? And where does it come from? Well, it generally comes from two places. We have what we call state statutes, which means laws that govern everyone dealing with snow removal. And we can talk about some of those rules. Then we also have what are commonly called local ordinances, which are just as the phrase would sound, they are ordinances that govern what you're required to do if you live in a particular municipality or city. So, and usually we have these two things in tandem. So in order to know the basic legal rules here, you need a little bit of a refresher on state law and a little bit of a refresher on the local law of wherever you live.
Okay, so that's very interesting. So what are some of the rules for removing snow and ice from your car? Because I'm one of those people that I haven't parked in my garage in a very long time, so I'm that person.
Right. And so many of us, whether it's at home or work, our cars, of course, are accumulating snow and ice at times when we're not paying attention to them. And usually then we're getting in them and we're in a hurry often. So what are we supposed to do? Okay, well, here's a couple of rules from state law. Okay. State law says that you cannot drive a car within any object that obstructs the vision of the driver of the vehicle. So any object, right? And ice, of course, would be an object. So you can't have ice and snow on your car in a way that obstructs the vision. We also have a specific rule for cars regarding the rear window. And it says a person cannot drive a car if visibility through the rear window is obstructed, unless they're equipped with two rear view mirrors, one on each side, adjusted so that they can see the highway behind the car. That's more common in a bigger truck, for example. But there again, you see some basic common sense. Not only do you need to clear the snow and ice off of what's in front of you and to the side, but you have to, under state law, remove snow and ice or anything that would be obstructing your view out your rear window. And it's so easy to forget or not want to do that thing because you just want to look forward, but you do have to do that under state law. The other thing regarding cars, and this applies a bit to homes, is that we have a state statute that says that people cannot, I'll read it, deposit or cause to be deposited snow, ice, or slush on any roadway or highway. Well, we've seen this, right? People don't clear off their roof, for example, or their hood or their trunk, and they're driving down the road. And with the momentum of the car, that snow and ice that's been piled up on that parts of the car falls into the road, maybe falls into the path of another driver. Well, that's also not supposed to happen because you're supposed to have cleared off enough of that from your car so that you're not allowing the snow and the ice and the slush to fall onto the roadway.
Okay. So that's why I have one of the super long, soft things to pull all the snow off the top of my SUV. All right, we have that covered. All right, those sidewalks. That seems like a never-ending battle.
Boy, it is. The more it snows, the harder it is, right? So we have state law and local ordinances here. One thing we have in state law says as follows, that a person cannot, again, using this term, deposit or cause to be deposited snow, ice, or slush onto or across a roadway or the shoulder of a roadway in a manner that obstructs the safety vision of another driver. So in the context of the sidewalk, right, we're debating in our minds to put it in the yard, to put it in the boulevard. Well, if you're putting it in the boulevard, it has to be done in a way that doesn't obstruct the safety vision of another driver. And it has to be done in a way that it's not being put into the road itself. That comes back to that other rule we were just talking about. State law says in general, you can't cause to be deposited snow, ice, or slush into a road, which means when you're out there with your snowblower on your sidewalk, as tempting as it might be, you're not supposed to snow blow your snow into the road. So that's the state statute. Now, What about locally? Well, let's talk about Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids has a very specific ordinance dealing with when you're supposed to remove snow. And the ordinance says as follows: the occupant or occupants of every property within the city, that's pretty broad, or the owners, okay, landlords here, pay attention, shall clear any accumulation of ice or snow from public sidewalks within 24 hours of the accumulation. Of course, the devil's in the details. What is accumulation? That's not defined, but it's basic common sense. When snow or ice is accumulating, either the people living there or the owners of the property, sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different, they have to clear that accumulation within 24 hours. What if they don't? Well, the rest of the city ordinance goes on to say, if 48 hours have gone by and the owner or the occupant has been given notice that they need to clear the property and they haven't, well, the city can come do it for you. But guess what? They're not going to do it for free. The ordinance goes on to say that the homeowner or the occupant can be assessed for the cost of the removal. Now, hopefully, again, we come back to some common sense and good neighborly principles. Nobody likes to walk down their neighborhood and see snow and ice that's been sitting there for more than a day. So remove it to be a good neighbor, but also if you're in the city of Grand Rapids, remove it to make sure you're being consistent with the law.
Where can people go to get more information?
Oh, sure. They can find us online at www.sinusdramus.com. They can shoot us an email at info@sinusdramus.com or give us a call in West Michigan at 616-301-3333.